This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
$375 million years ago, the first fish crawled out the sea, looked around the gaff and thought, you know what, this place looks alright. Sometime later, with a fair few changes, we've seen the invention of the pyramid, the electric scooter and the steak slice, all leading to humanity's cultural zenith, episode 27 of Cooking with Grief. I'm Chris, and I'm the human equivalent of doner meat. I only look decent after 6 pints, but I do go well with a mint yogurt sauce. And as always, I'm joined by my mythical co-host, half centaur, half minotaur, but admittedly just the human halves of each. It's Chris.
Did you just make a Mantor reference?
I believe I did. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
How this goes?
That's how basic human conversation works. Cooking with Grief is the comedy podcast in which every episode, each of us two Chris's bring 2 topics from the worlds of art, science, history, or the internet's darkest corners to share for the first time with each other, and therefore you, the patient listener. Now, after 26 previous episodes recording from opposite ends of the country, for the first time we're recording in the very same room. Chris, we're in your childhood home. The scene of many a long summer spent playing God of War, Mortal Kombat, and getting drunk on awful, sugary, alcoholics' kids' drinks. How does it feel to be back?
Quite a bleak childhood, that last line.
You know, when I wrote it didn't seem like that. Now that I say it. Oh yeah, we're video game
accurate,
addicted.
but
Yeah, good to be back.
It is good to be back. It's not changed that much. I should point out my parents still live here. I haven't broken into my childhood home and see what it's like.
Well, even if you had, thank you for inviting me along. Yeah, so Chris, what is your first topic?
Okay, so my first topic is actually quite relevant because it's not just the 2 of us in the room today. We also have the temporary pod dog, who is currently asleep on the sofa. And my first topic is about how would you feel if you could listen to your pet's thoughts? Disturbed?
I'm pretty sure cats would only want to see my demise.
Yes, that's fair.
Dogs might be happier to see me.
Yeah, well, the device in question is called No More Woof.
They could have come up with something better than that, surely.
Probably. Although they are Scandinavian, so, maybe it sounded better in Swedish.
No, maybe.
See? And I just want to say it's really awkward being able to make eye contact with you as I talk this.
Would you like me to look elsewhere? It's weird, right? We've been friends for years. Suddenly you hit record and it's weird. It's like someone got the cock out. I mean, it's like someone didn't do that.
Please don't do that. For the listeners at home, that didn't happen.
No, so I am sat under a table. I could have done it.
So, anyway, No More Woof. Basically, it's a cautionary tale of crowdfunding. But the idea was you know how you can do those EEG scans on people's brains where you put all the wires on their heads and then they, if you think something, they can tell which part of your brain's lit up and that sort of thing. And the idea was, stick one of them on a dog's head, put some audio outputs on it, and if you see the happy part of the brain lights up, you can just have it say, I'm happy. And so you see your dog, the happy part of the dog's brain lights up, microphone, and it will say, I'm happy to see you. So, rudimentary, but basically you'd end up with the dog from Up, which I'm going to assume is something you have no...
No, I've seen that one.
That's good.
Seen that one. It goes sad, less sad, sad again.
Yes, basically. But there's also a talking dog. But yeah, so basically they tried to crowdfund the invention, took everyone's money and then did nothing with it for 5 years.
Well, that's Kickstarter.
Yeah. What a future we live in where that's... Because technically, the theory behind it was sound. As in, we know from putting electrodes on people's heads roughly what they're thinking. I don't want to offend the dog, or any dog, but they do seem to be fairly simple creatures. Like, they're more likely to think, I'm happy to see you, or I'm hungry, than why is there suffering? So it seems like it should be a fairly simple thing to translate.
Yeah, you never looked at a dog and it sort of turned its head quizzically and you're thinking, I bet you're wondering if God is lonely.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine how disappointed you'd be if every time you thought your dog was happy to see you, it was actually just thinking, I hope you die soon so I can eat your corpse. Or something.
Which is quite a complicated emotion. If it looked at you and it just...
Or if it only thought, I'm hungry.
Yeah. But then, does it not associate you with getting food anyway? So maybe it already does think that.
Possibly. I mean, we'd ask the dog, but we don't have the no more woof. Also, the dog's asleep.
Yeah, I mean, more so the first one than the second, but yeah, I take your point. Whereas cats...
Cats.
Because do they do it on any other animals, or just dogs?
Well, they don't do it on any, but it was specifically for dogs. But again, there's no reason why it wouldn't work for cats. It's just, you'd want to think, know what a cat was thinking.
You don't want to know the answer to that. Alright, what do you think is the most existentially anxious animal?
Well, those bush baby things always look really surprised.
Well, they've seen into the void and they saw the void blink and it's like this is all there is.
so they look pretty anxious. Otherwise, I'd reckon a whale. Because you're swimming around, they're pretty smart, and they're just swimming in a massive nothingness. Yeah. Any advances on whale or bush babies?
I mean, it's not an auction, but maybe not existential, but I reckon a kangaroo probably thinks quite a lot of itself.
Oh, yeah.
It knows it's a 6-foot jack dude with ripped arms and a tail it can stand on.
Yeah.
And it can punch and kick a human to death.
Yes.
And it knows it. It's the swaggering, knobhead at the gym.
Yeah, well, that's it. I was going to say, I feel like kangaroos are sort of the drunk knobhead of the, animal world.
Yeah, the frat boys of the animal world.
Even frat boys probably more like trailer trash, like just... or bogan in Aussie slang, just like, they'd crush a can of, cheap beer, throw it on the floor, and then just sort of, hop over to somebody, knock them out, and then hop back.
Yeah, a sort of marsupial chav.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that.
At least we've got a band name sorted. Marsupial chav, that's quite good. Owls already have the association of being wise, so maybe I already expect them to come up with wise stuff.
Mm.
And you can never trick it, look behind you.
No, exactly.
It'll never fall for that. So maybe I'm quite smart. I mean, who's smarter, the owl or me trying to trick an owl? What do I get out of that? Why have I been cornered by an owl? And I go, quick, look, a bear. The owl's going, mate, I can turn my head. We've got you cornered. Pay your taxes. The owl in this scenario is a tax collector.
Obviously. They don't even have pockets.
Oh yeah, that's the reason. Where are you going to keep your change, owl? Ha! Checkmate.
Well, what are them birds called? Swifts. I feel like they'd just be thinking a million different thoughts. What if they were that ever
keep flying or die.
Yeah, that's possible. Actually, that's the point. I feel like most animals probably just think, if I don't do this, I'm going to starve to death or be eaten.
Quick, eat this before I get eaten. And then going back to starvation and fear.
Exactly. That's why when people always say, get back in touch with nature, it's nature's terrifying.
Yeah, nature is scary.
Are you sure you want to live a life where you basically eat once a week? And if you don't get that, and the longer you wait for that once, the harder it is, the harder it gets to catch the meal that you need.
Yeah, it's like
to escape the predator that you're...
it's like the, caveman diet, where you only eat what you could have caught. But it's sort of crucially, you spend 18 hours a day tracking and then killing the thing that you then get to eat, which is your sort of exercise part. If you're going, no, I'm just going to have steak.
Yeah.
It's not quite the same.
Yeah, also that thing, paleo diet stuff, it's only eat raw foods and stuff, and uncooked foods, and it's you do realise that humans used to die at 25 before we discovered fire, and they killed all the germs.
Okay, good steps. Don't have big sugary frappuccino from Starbucks, but you still get to season your food.
Yeah, who lives longer, the tribesmen in the jungles or the CEOs in Manhattan? There are some advantages of
the two extremes of humanity.
But and then somewhere in the middle there's you and I.
It's true. Trying to work out what animals we could talk to. Yeah, alright.
Oh, that would make that. Actually, if you knew what animals were thinking, that would make not being a vegetarian a very difficult position.
Oh, well, that's a point. If your food can stop pleading with you, that is it's one thing to buy lamb chops, another to have a lamb with a wide-eyed lamb tearing up at you going, please, please, please do not slay me.
Exactly. It's a terrible idea. Let's stop it. Let's stop it before it goes too far.
Because obviously, following this, we would have carried on the Kickstarter.
Yes. The Kickstarter's just been taking people's money for 5 years.
We need to do that. That's,
What's that, a Kickstarter?
Well, a fake one.
Oh, a fake one. Probably shouldn't have announced that intentions.
That's the twist we put on it.
And that is me done for my first topic, so over to you for yours.
Okay, well, I'll start by asking, Chris, are you a particularly superstitious person?
A bit too lazy to be superstitious. Like sometimes
It is an effort to remember it all.
Exactly.
Grey cats?
Yeah, exactly. When I used to play goalkeeper, I used to touch the crossbar before the game, but we still lost most games, so it clearly didn't help. Maybe it turns out that superstition means a lot less than being a notable athlete.
Generally, I think it's sort of training and really put it down to. Well, I'd like to talk to you about the curse of the Colonel. And no, it's not about the year I did very little else other than eat fried chicken and watch my life fall apart like a bit of crispy but well-seasoned chicken. In Japanese baseball, the Tokyo Giants are considered the best team, whereas the Hanshin Tigers are generally underdogs, particularly due to a long losing streak since 1985. And in sports, superstitions, especially when it comes to losing streaks, are nothing new. But the Tigers did win the Japan Series in 1985, thanks primarily to signing an American player called Randy Bass.
Is he Randy Bass or Randy Bass?
I think Bass.
Okay.
Randy Bass would make a good funk band name, though. Now, fans of the Hanshin Tigers had a celebratory ritual following a win, in which every time a player's name was called out, someone in the crowd who looked like that player jumped into the canal in Dontabori. But lacking any American fans in the crowd who looked like Randy Bass or Randy Bass, the crowd threw a statue of Colonel Sanders from a nearby KFC restaurant into the river instead. And the Tigers then didn't win. Well, they haven't won the championship since. So, as often does with sport, a superstition arose with the Tigers fans that until the statue was recovered, they wouldn't win, hence the curse of the Colonel. Despite numerous attempts to recover the statue over the years, it wasn't found sort of partly until 2009, but the statue was missing one hand and its glasses. So the superstition continues until everything's, like every single part of it's found. The Tigers are doomed to not win.
Unrelated side note that somebody on Twitter told us, Colonel Sanders ran for and lost a race to become Senator of Kentucky.
Did he, promise the vote was more chicken?
No idea, but
somebody
suggests
pre or post chicken fame.
The picture of him, he didn't have a beard, so I assume that's pre-chicken fame. We were told by Things You Should Have Heard podcast.
And was it out of,
I don't know if that has anything to do with Japanese baseball.
I think very little, but, we enjoy our detours. I mean, did he go into the chicken magnate business out of spite for not becoming senator or
Again, you're asking me far more questions than I've
Let's hypothesize.
Let's say yes. This whole story revolves around the fact that there's a statue of Colonel Sanders.
In Japan, most KFC restaurants have a statue of Colonel Sanders outside the restaurant. And
I suppose one on McDonald's outside, wasn't
similar sort of thing. Or Weatherspoons, you get a pissing lady, very much. As a sort of side fact, the Tigers very nearly won in 2003, so all the Colonel Sanders statues were, as a cautionary measure, either taken inside or bolted down. They thought, fuck, if they win this final, what are they going to do to the statues this time?
Them. Well, the whole point was not to damage the Colonel. These weirdly mythical
Well,
powers.
apparently
Can't overtake McDonald's as the most popular fast food restaurant, but you can ruin your baseball streak.
Well, KFC plays quite a big cultural role in Japan because their big Christmas meal is KFC. People book it months in advance to get their bucket.
Did you deliberately say bucket months in advance for their bucket?
No.
That's what you said.
I know, but you're looking at me like something's wrong.
No, just bucket and bucket. It's just the same word, but different.
Oh! Fuck, I'm slow. Sorry, we should say in between your topic and mine, we had tea, and I'm way too full to think. My brain's running on mash. Again.
Do you remember the time me and you went into KFC and ordered a family bucket for 2 people? And they were like, how many plates do you want? And we said 2. And they just looked really disappointed in us.
And that was the first long line of series of disappointed looks from various fried chicken establishments.
Mm-hmm.
It was for me, at least. Because the Boston Red Sox had something similar. They didn't get after they sold Babe Ruth in 1918, and then they went without a title win until 2004. That's a much long, almost a whole century.
Mm-hmm. The curse
of the Bambino.
I was actually in Boston when they won that, and they went mental.
Absolutely insane.
It's like a crowd got 1 million people or something just lying in the streets, of which we were some, just because we were not going to see this again. Like,
Yeah,
when do you
yeah.
ever see a city like celebrate 100 odd years of like that? Like party had been building up for 100 years.
What's the one like historical party you wish you could have attended?
Like the sack of Rome or something. Like if you were a barbarian.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd be on the other side. I'd be like, "What are you doing?" But you know, if you're that way inclined, I mean,
yeah. Stop bringing us down with reminders of all the losers. We finally conquered Rome. Well, none of you are Roman. Hashtag thoughts and prayers for Romans.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the end of my first topic. Chris, what's your second one, please?
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you a question to start with. What's the furthest you'd ever go, not physically, but like in terms of exertion or whatever, to avoid doing something you didn't want to do?
I'd put, professional procrastination in my top 3 skills.
That's good.
So I reckon I could full on neglect genuine responsibilities for years.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good. Well, in South Korea, they have conscription. Everybody has to do it. Well, all males have to join the army for the obvious North-South Korea shebang.
As they call it.
Yeah. And
what news of the shebang?
yeah. So actually Tottenham. Oh yeah, so there's 2 they think. So Tottenham Hotspur football team.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a player called Son Heung-min, I think his full name is. And basically, because you can defer it for so many years, up to like the age of 28 or something, but then you have to do it. And he was coming up to like the final part where he could defer it any further. But they have exceptions for gold medal winning athletes, and in football, if you win the Asia Cup. And so he basically had to win the Asia Cup or give up his life as a professional footballer and join the army and fight North Korea.
Oh,
And he managed it.
That's all right then. Talk about pressure on like sporting occasions anyway. And thinking, oh fuck, if I miss this next gig, I'm gonna be living in barracks for the next 4 years.
It's like looking for a statue of Colonel Sanders. Obviously, I wasn't saying Japan and South Korea are the same before the Twitter police got on me. Anyway, so obviously that is a sort of very motivated and dedicated way of avoiding it. By being the best in your profession. There were also some students who didn't want to join the army. And they found a different route. They binged on pizzas and burgers to basically get too fat to pass the medical.
I'd do that one. Out of the 2, I'm talking about if there was the options, either literally become one of the best in the world at something physical, or, slide into physical decline. Bingo.
Yeah, so apparently they had like group chat and everything, and they'd share tips on what to do.
The burger.
Well, yes, but they also had high-calorie protein shakes, and they also act crazy to try and throw off the psych exams.
Did it work?
No. Well, they got caught. They drank a lot of aloe juice to retain water weight, so they're doing everything to try and literally just anything to try and tip the scales. Oh no, actually, it didn't necessarily fail because none of them got forced to join the army, but they were obviously caught for deliberately failing it, so they've all been sent on various community service things. Oh, but they could be found guilty of deliberately dodging it, in which case they'll be forced to join. But I don't know if you'd want them to join. The least motivated, the out of shape, desperately don't want to be there. Is that the person you want to give a machine gun to and be like, right?
Knowing full well that the guy next to you would have traded it all for, being a stone heavier or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Because you know how they have the demilitarized zone in between North and South Korea? Yeah, the ZMs. The US soldiers that are based there, because it's it's a neutral zone, so they have North and South Korean soldiers facing off on each other.
Yeah, and they always pick the biggest soldiers to do it as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. So the South Korean ones, they all have to be over 5'6" tall, which I assume is taller than South Korea than it appears here, because that's not really. Imagine the Dutch army putting that, and it's literally everybody can join.
Or would it be more intimidating putting your entire army there?
Yeah. But also, they have to have a black belt in Taekwondo and Judo. Or Judo, sorry. I'm pretty sure I've read somewhere that the US soldiers, they'd only put Americans of Korean descent there. but I don't know if that's strictly true, and I can't find the research in my hastily ad-libbed research that I should have done prior to starting this. But yeah, no, it's just...
I swear I've seen footage with... Or maybe it's like...
No, I think it's in the very centre. You know when they have, like, they'll send generals over, like, in that one room that's half in each. I think it's that room, not all the soldiers on the thingy. I see. Yeah, because apparently, like, North Korea also send their tallest and most threatening looking soldiers, but because they're all malnutrition, they're still like 5 inches shorter than the South Korean counterparts.
Got to be fairly intimidating, and also the temptation just to pull funny faces, just once. No one's looking. Just a quick.
No, they actually have. Apparently, if you go on one of the tourist things to the DMZ, sounds weird saying. I don't know. I feel like DMZ sounds right, even though I want to say DMZ. Like, that just sounds wrong.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, because it's always called the DMZ.
DMZ sounds more like a sort of voyeuristic, celebrity-based American network.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, like, DMZ just sounds weird. But anyway.
DMZ.
Exactly. But if you go on, like, a tourist thing there, because you can, in South Korea or whatever, apparently they actually, like, tell you, like, you know, no pointing, no making faces, no, because you just don't want to. Yeah, it's a very finely balanced.
Yeah,
like,
it's
you don't want some idiot Westerner coming on and be like, nuclear holocaust. It's like historians
how would
look
they even
back.
spell that in the history books?
A lot of L's. Yeah. Alright, so now that we brought peace to the Korean Peninsula, over to you to top that.
Chris, we don't get to see each other very often, and as this feels like a special episode, actually recording in the same room for once, I thought I would do something a bit special for my second topic.
Sorry, can I just interrupt you 1 second to say, like, whilst we've been in the same room, I've still not been able to make eye contact with you.
It's very strange.
Weird. I've just so our listeners know, I've been sort of looking just slightly off centre, just because it feels weird to talk shit when somebody's actually in the same room.
You can see the consequences of our words. So, for my something a bit special, it's time for the return of Place to Nosh, or Not a Place.
Oh!
Now, so for new listeners, this is a topic I've done before back in episode 12, and I think it's, one of our favourites that we've ever done. How it works is I read out a list of bad restaurant names, 5 real, 5 fake, and Chris has to work out which is which, whether it's a place to nosh or not a place. He gets a point for everyone guessed correctly, and I score on his incorrect guesses. This all came about because I went to a restaurant called the Golden Shower, and it was very nice.
And warm.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Number 1, Pastagina. It's a messy little Italian place in San Francisco, California, that eschews plates and bowls for serving their piping hot bolognese in a lady well. I also make up fake descriptions.
Not a place.
It's a place to nosh.
It is a place to nosh. Wait, what is a lady bowl?
A lady well. It's
a lady well, sorry.
A delicate euphemism for vagina.
No, I got that bit, but you said they served the food in it.
Yeah, I made that bit up, obviously.
Well, you can't just make up like descriptions.
This is how we played it last time.
Yeah, I know, but those bits really threw me. Cause
that's the idea. Otherwise you win too easily. Okay, number 2. KKK Spicy Food Revolution. Would you like the fake description?
Yes.
Don't worry, they have napkins. White, oddly pointy napkins.
I reckon that is a place to nosh.
It is indeed a place to nosh. It's a real place, and the KKK means something different because it's in Pasay City in the Philippines, and KKK means something different there. It stands for the name of a revolutionary group that fought against Spanish occupation in the latter part of the 19th century, roughly translated as the highest, most esteemed society of the children of the nation. So it is a real place and not to do with the white supremacy group.
That's nice.
According to TripAdvisor. That's nice. Number 3, McWanks. In a trailer in Watson Lake, Canada, one eating establishment is blurring the lines between Happy Meal and a happy ending.
You should get a job in marketing, I've said that before, but anyway. Not a place.
It is real.
Oh, it is a place to
And listeners, I urge you to Google this place. It is the creepiest looking thing.
Oh, shocker.
No. But like, even if it wasn't called McWanks, it's still not great. Number 4, the milking table.
Oh.
The staff don't jerk you around here in this quaint eatery in Brooklyn.
Place to nosh.
It's not a place.
Oh. That sounds like it should be like Like a milkshake bar or something.
Could possibly. It's almost like I got absolutely trounced last time, so I'll try to be more subtle than chicken prolapse or whatever my one was last time. Speaking of which... Number 5.
Not a place.
You're right, but would you like me to say it anyway?
Yes.
The Rose and Crown. No. Number 5, Bukkake Bar. This bright, if a little pricey bar in Tokyo has the unusual custom of splashing drinks directly in your face instead of allowing you to sit politely. Well done, you shrewdly navigated my clever lies.
You know you're allowed to say Bukkake on British TV, but only after 9 p.m.
Me personally. Or anyone.
Anyone.
I can just run onto the news. Bukkake! How do you scare the things you use to ignite your car engine?
Go on.
Bukkakes. Number 6, Wanker's Corner.
No, not a place.
It's real.
How?
Because it's in Oregon in America and they don't really use wanker in the same way that we do.
Yeah.
So wanker, I think, is owned by John Wanker. Possibly. Number 7, Blowjob Bar.
No, not a place.
Now, the blowjob, apart from being one way to pass a cold winter's evening, is a cocktail combining coffee liqueur and Baileys. Blowjobs is a bar in Dublin that specialises in these cocktails. Quite the mouthful. Yeah, you're right, it's fake. Number 8, the Buxom Wench. It's a long-standing pub in Wells in southern England. The owner is not, unfortunately, described in the pub's name, but a middle-aged man called Ken Sotheby, who, according to the Buxom Wench's website, also enjoys golf.
Place to Nosh.
It's not a place.
Oh.
You can totally imagine it, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, pub with a silly name.
Mm-hmm.
Number...
So this is the difference. Now that I can see your face, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, for the listeners, I have 0 poker face.
Mm-hmm. Go on.
Number 9, Big Dick's Halfway In.
Oh, I want to say it's a place just because Dirty Dicks was a place last time. Or was it not? I can't remember. I want to say Place to Nosh just because I wanted
Dirty
to
Dick's
believe
Crab
it.
House was
Was a real place.
Was a real place. As is Big Dick's Halfway In. It's a restaurant in Missouri with beefy portions so big your stomach will be bulging. But it's just a restaurant, and without irony, well, maybe with quite a lot of irony, they called it Big Dick's Halfway In.
Oh my god.
At number 10, Huge Racks Bar and Grill, a chain of Hooters knockoff restaurants in Florida who specialise in racks of ribs, and judging by the questionable uniforms they make their staff wear, other racks as well.
Wear racks? So does that mean like fake? Or do they wear things that reveal the racks? I thought you meant they wore other racks like like novelty knockoff, like novelty
like medieval
knockers.
torture.
Yeah. Sorry, it took me a second. Not a place.
You're correct, I made that one up. So what if I just count the scores? I did better on this game than when we played it in episode 12. You got 6, which means...
I edged it.
You edged it. So, once again, you've won.
Well, last time we played this, some names came up.
You got some feedback on Twitter.
Yeah, so Bodice Tipplers podcast.
Not the name of it.
Not the name of
Which
a pub.
would be good, though. Have a
It would be good. Yeah. So, yeah, if they want to branch out.
Yeah.
Apparently in South Carolina, there's a chain called the Lizard's Thicket.
No, that's quite good.
Richard Osman, the tall guy off Pointless, he is apparently a fan of Cooking with Grief. Okay, he's not. But not long after our episode aired, the last time we played Place in Loss, he shared a napkin from a restaurant in Beijing called the Nubile Beautiful Cock.
I think I've been there.
So
and he went on a pilgrimage just out of devotion to our...
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any sort of reaching or slanderous accusations where we say Richard Osman the tall guy on
likes
Twitter.
nubile cocks.
Likes nubile cock. Or is a huge fan of Cooking with Grief and specifically Place to Nosh or Not a Place.
So that's it. Like serving herbs to Vaino Murilini, it's time for the big finish.
What?
It literally says in my notes, when Chris inevitably questions you further, explain that Vaino Murilini was an 8'3" man from Finland.
What would you have done if I'd known that?
Bloody impressed. If you just gone, yeah, that seems fine. And obviously, time, that which is measured by clocks, is a homonym for the herb time. Yes, please continue. It's just a silly little joke. That brings us to the end of the 27th episode of Cooking with Grief. Thank you for listening, and hopefully you'll join us again next time when we'll have 4 brand new topics to discuss. I've been Chris, as has he, and thank you for having me over. It's been fun, / it's been broadly fine. It's been absolutely torturous, but logistically expedient, delete as appropriate. Anything to add?
I think covered most of it.
Okay. Bye!
Yeah, ciao. Let's never do this again.
Oh, I thought this one went well. We had big dicks halfway in, and then we started recording.
Oh, God.
Hello from Ireland. Need to catch up on your documentaries? Well, don't worry, we've got you covered. Here at Docs That Rock, we review the best documentaries on the planet.
Watch out because they're not spoiler free, but hey, that might suit you. Subscribe and download the weekly dish on Docs That Rock. Available at bigheadsmedia.com and all good podcast providers.